Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Plaid Stallion's Toy Ventures. We're going to look at Star Trek toys this week, particularly one of my favorites, the Remco Star Trek Utility Belt. But as always, let's give a little bit of backstory to Remco's relationship with Star Trek. Remco Toys was one of the first licensors of the Star Trek brand. In fact, they had toys in stores when the show was still on the air, and they'd put a lot of effort into it. Well, not in the toy design part of it. Everything that they released was actually toys that were released for another line. Mainly, I think, a line called Hamilton's Invaders, or Horrible Hamilton. And they just put the Star Trek logo on it. They put out these beautiful lithoed boxes with pictures of Mr. Spock and Kirk on them. And they put them to marketplace. They're rare. They're super collectible. But yeah, they kind of deserve a little bit of mockery for being absolutely not Star Trek toys. In fact, I think the only person really putting out accurate Star Trek toys in the 1960s were the AMT model kits, and we all know those. Remco did this with other science fiction TV shows, namely Land of the Giants, where they just repackaged items from Supercar and some of the same items that they were selling as Star Trek with the Land of the Giants logo as well. It's a funny company. Flash forward to the early 1970s and Remco went bankrupt. The name was purchased in 1973 for, I believe, $10,000 by Azrak Hamway Incorporated. And if you've heard that name before, AHI, it's because they are one of the most famous rack toy makers in the world and one of the subjects of this website. I love talking about AHI's toys. So there is no real relationship between the Remco of the 1960s and the Remco of the 1970s. They are completely different corporations. No staff transferred over that I know of. It was a completely different deal. What AHI was doing was they were using their name of Azrak Hamway for lower cost, then dime store toys, and they were using the Remco name to promote TV advertised and higher dollar toys. So they were sharing the license. They had the same address. It was the same company, but two different brands. One was an upper tier and one was a lower tier. And to their credit, AHI Remco made nice, fairly accurate Star Trek toys, whether they were, dollar store phasers or deluxe sets like this utility belt. A lot of care was put into making these somewhat show accurate. One of the more famous Remco toys was the CSF, which was basically a take on the Mattel Vertibird, and it was a Flying Enterprise set, and this is a gorgeous toy. It looks like the Enterprise, it works, and it was a lot of fun to play with. However, one of the most engaging toy concepts Remco contributed to the landscape of the 1970s was the utility belt. And Star Trek was their first official license. It launched in 1975. However, they would keep this going all through the 70s. Logically, in 1976, they followed up with Batman, which would turn out to be one of their best-selling items. Then they would get other TV licenses like Space 1999. They would expand the superheroes with Spider-Man, Captain America, the Hulk, even Wonder Woman, which was a really great set. I think 3 girls on my street had this Wonder Woman set growing up. We're going to probably do further installments on these various Remco utility belts over the next few weeks, but I really want to just focus on this historic first one, the Star Trek one, and to give you a look inside and see exactly what makes this so special and fun. First off, you have the belt buckle that has the Star Trek logo on it, just like on the series. This is just one of those things in role play where they don't go show accurate. They go for fun. They go for a kid's mindset. And I love the fact that that is the Gold Key Comics logo. There's some sort of synchronicity with that. And Gold Key Comics Star Treks are some of my favorites, and that is awesome. Now, all the accessories, of course, are kid-sized, so a kid could hold them, and that is, of course, important to role play. So the first thing we have is the tricorder. Now, it's not a functioning tricorder, but it is a fairly nice-looking depiction of the original prop, and, a kid's imagination can go nuts with this. Likewise, the communicator doesn't have any sort of functionality to it other than it does have its famous flip top, so you can do your own sound effects and, I guess talk back to yourself. This is really fun. However, the cherry on top is the phaser, which looks like a TV series phaser, is kid size, and it fires jet discs. A lot like the Rayline tracer guns, but a very show-accurate version. And of course, AHI also sold a rendition of this at the dollar store level as well. Remco seemed to change the packaging on this almost every year. This set was released from 1975 to 1978, and I count 3 different U.S. versions of the packaging. There is also, like this, a Canadian version. This is a Canadian version, I believe, of the second version box. This is by Irwin Toys. And in the UK, there's actually a completely separate box, and I think it's actually the nicest one of all. I don't know what it is about the UK and packaging, but I'm very smitten. I think my point of making this video was to dismiss the misconceptions that are out there that 70s Star Trek toys aren't show accurate and kind of a joke. There's actually a lot of really nice stuff out there that is, done for one thing only. It's not supposed to be a show accurate prop. It's supposed to be something that resembles the show, but also can be conducive to fun play for kids. And that's what I really love about toys. I don't need one-to-one scale accurate props. I want something that has some fun infused into it. I like to call it a little bit of clunk. And this captures it, but also infuses a little bit of joy, the joy of childhood. And that is why I collect. Do you have fond memories of playing Star Trek as a kid? Did you have some of these toys? I'd love to hear them, either in our Facebook group, which is called Pod Stallions, in the comments here at YouTube, or on our Facebook page, or hit me up on Twitter, @PlaidStallions. I'm really grateful when I hear from you guys. I really appreciate everything you say, and I love your feedback. Thanks for watching. I'll hit you up next week with a new toy venture.